Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ask Grit, episode number 48. As always, we're here with one of the teammates asking questions from our fellow investors all over the world every single week so that it can add some value to you. And that's the whole purpose of this program. We have been doing it 48 weeks straight, almost a year now. Today we have Shine, who is the head of sales from Sri Lanka. Hi, Shine.
Hi, Navin. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our live session called Ask Grit. As Navin said, Ask Grit is our weekly question and answer session where we discuss everything that is relevant to property investment. So hi, Navin. Thank you for taking the time to join us from Melbourne. Let me start with the weather. How is the weather in Melbourne these days?
Getting a bit cold. It's about 8-9 degrees in the morning today, but heating up in the afternoon, I think. Yeah, the autumn has kicked in. Winter is coming soon.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, when it comes to Sri Lanka, it's raining and then it's sunny, it's hot and it's cold, just like everything else that's happening here. All right. So we have a bunch of good questions that were sent in by the clients. So these are questions that we get on a day-to-day basis from clients, especially foreigners, since we are working with the Sri Lankan market, Dubai, India, and the other countries as well. Who, in a sense, are foreigners when they have to invest in Australian property. So they are not residents, neither are they citizens, of course. So I will just throw in the questions, Navin. So let's start off with the first question. How is the property market looking at the moment when compared to 2021? Let's talk about the first quarter. How has it fared so far?
Yeah, I think the first quarter 2021, that's when the market was really getting the steam and it was going up rapidly. There was a lot of appreciation in 2021 right across Australia. So if you compare the two quarters between 2022 and 2021, the market has not really slowed down. But if you do a comparison, it has slowed down a little bit, which has to be the case because you just couldn't go at 20 to 25% per annum appreciation across Australia. It has slowed down a little bit, but still the lands are selling extremely fast. There are a lot of land estates where you have to join at a particular time in the weekend where you have to click on the internet and buy land. So it has still not gone away from that stage. It used to be worse, but it has slowed down a little bit, I would say.
All right. What are your thoughts on what will happen in 2022, towards the end of 2022, let's say 2023? I know it's somewhat speculative, but since the Aussie market is highly regulated, I think we can make some sort of a prediction given the research that we do. What do you think would happen in 2022, 2023, towards the latter part of 22 and first, second quarter of 23?
I think the market will stabilize in latter part of 2022 and 2023. It's part of the cycle. I mean, we have had a pretty good run for the last year or year and a half, and you just simply cannot continue in that pace. So it will stabilize in 2022, 2023. There's a lot of media out there indicating there's going to be property crashes, which is never going to happen because the fundamentals are extremely strong in Australia. So I think it will stabilize, it will slow down a bit. We have inflation rises all across the world, same in Australia. We have interest rates hikes predicted in the latter part of this year. So these things will naturally slow down the market, but it will stabilize the market.
Excellent. Also, we have learned from the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, that has stated that they will increase the cash rate this year. So can you shed some light on this? And also, how will this impact a foreigner?
Yeah, the cash rate right now is 0.1 and it's all-time low. Even they'll definitely increase. There's no doubt about it during this year at some point. But it's not going to be increased at a huge percentage all of a sudden. It will become gradually. And so impact foreigner, anyway, as a foreigner, they're paying about 2% more than a local right now. So they're anyway paying a higher rate. So we just have to watch and see if the lenders are going to increase the foreign rates as well. but the impact is not going to be huge. Even with higher interest rates, which foreigners are paying right now, they can easily cover the mortgage because the loan to value ratio is much less for foreigners. So the impact is going to be less. Even if they increase, they can easily cover the mortgage payments through the rentals, the way we structure it.
All right, so let's talk about financing. Now, how can a foreigner get financing? Which banks and institutions would provide this facility, and what is the current rate? Also, is it fixed or variable? I know there are quite a few questions in one question. So let's start with how a foreigner can get financing.
Yeah, so any foreigner can get financing by showing their income in their home country. It can be Sri Lanka, India, Dubai, wherever they are. And the lender will take the property as a security or as the collateral. Typically, as a foreigner, you can lend up between 60 to 70% based on their financials. They need to be providing 3 payslips, bank statements showing their salary credits. Some lenders ask for the credit reports in their home country and their basic identification documents. So it's the normal process. In terms of interest rates, it can range from 4 to 5.6, 5.7% based on where they are. So we have a variety of lenders. Each of the countries, the lenders would differ. There's HSBC out there. There's another second-tier lenders out there. It really depends on where the customer is, and we can tailor make a solution and the best solution which we can give for them.
All right. So is this a fixed or variable rate for the tenure? Or?
It is. It's totally up to. I mean, typically banks would offer variable rates, but if someone wants to fix it, they have the ability to do so.
Okay, so it's optional. They can choose whether they want to fix it.
Correct.
Excellent. All right. So would it be wise to invest in an apartment at this time, and what level of capital appreciation are we to expect going forward? Now, when we're talking about apartments, the reason we bring out apartments is because most of our foreign clientele, especially if you take the Sri Lankan market, most of their children are studying in universities, major universities in Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, Adelaide. So how lucrative is it in terms of capital appreciation at the moment if you're looking at apartments?
Yeah, apartments, it really depends on the location of the apartment. We typically tend to avoid, if it's a pure investment, we typically tend to avoid the main CBD areas because Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, all of these are flocked with apartments, and there is a clear oversupply right now. But there are pockets out there where there's really good demand for apartments, always cash flow positive, very high rental yields. And in terms of the capital appreciation, it is going to be steady. It's not going to be as much as houses. But if you invest at the right apartment, right location, you can expect, but it's a long-term thing. You should be looking at apartments at least for 10, 15 years, nothing less than that.
Is it safe to say that if you're looking at a rental yield and appreciation is better than a house and land or a townhouse, if you're taking only rentals into play?
Yes. So you're looking at about 5 to 7% based on where they are. And there are some strategies in place where you can really double it as well. For example, you can furnish it and give it on short-term accommodation where you can get a higher rental yield. Again, based on the investor's requirement or the buyer's requirement, it can be very well be to accommodate the son or daughter, which is, if that is the case, it has to be the most convenient location for him or her. Whereas if someone wants to maximize their returns, then there are certain strategies which we can adopt.
Brilliant. Also, a question by Mr. Shirmal Jayatilaka. He just said it in. Okay, typically the 2 most popular cities for Sri Lankans are Melbourne and Sydney. What other cities are lucrative to invest right now? Let's say Sydney, as we know, prices are really high. Median prices are in excess of 1.6 million Australian dollars. Melbourne is around the 800K mark. What other cities would be popular to invest right now?
Right now, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, all these 3 cities are really good places to invest. Brisbane has a clear lack of land supply right now, and the prices have gone up. We are looking at 600,000 plus, but you can pick up really good deals in Adelaide and Perth right now. Apart from Melbourne and Sydney, these three cities are really good to invest right now.
Could you shed some light on why Adelaide, South Australia would be a good place to invest now?
You know, Adelaide is like 7 to 8 years before Melbourne was like that, and that's where Adelaide is at in the life cycle. So this is the time to invest and pounce on it, because you can get, I mean, a house and land package is starting around $450,000, which you cannot even imagine getting in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane for that matter right now. And at the same time, there's a lot of migration happening into Adelaide, because it's not easy to come to Melbourne or Sydney right now with the migration rules in place. So a lot of overseas migration is happening to Adelaide, more population growth. And Adelaide is a city where people were just flocking around the city in the 15-kilometer radius. And now it is becoming the norm to move out to the suburbs about 25, 30 kilometers out. And this is the time that these places are getting developed. And we have seen a lot of growth in those suburbs. Big retailers like Bunnings and big supermarket chains are moving that way, which clearly shows that there will be demand, and that otherwise these guys will never move and invest in millions of dollars over there. And the other thing with Adelaide is there will be a mining boom happening in Adelaide. There is a project called Victoria Dam Project, which is going to be the largest open cut mine in the world in terms of uranium, gold, and things like that. So it's going to be a big one. There's going to be a lot of construction happening with that. And so there's so many things happening, and there's a lot of submarine projects which has been awarded to South Australia. There's a lot of jobs created in that space. There's so many things happening there where we don't know about all these things.
Excellent. So let's put a number on it, Navin. What type of capital appreciation can you expect in a place like Adelaide, a city like Adelaide, a suburb in Adelaide? That I know we are focusing on a particular suburb that's showing a lot of growth potential. Put a number on it. What type of rental yield can you expect, and what type of capital appreciation could it on a conservative figure?
Rental yield is touching at 5%. Capital appreciation, it has been appreciating 15 to 21% last year, but I wouldn't say that's going to continue. But 7 to 8% per annum is quite conservative there.
Lovely, lovely. So talking about packages, you mentioned it's between 450 and upwards. But to those who are listening, there is a package for 388,000. Get in touch with us, find out more. Lovely package, 3-bedroom, beautiful house, lovely parcel of land, 388,000 Australian dollars. Get in touch with us to learn more. Let's go to the second question, the next question, Navik.
Yeah.
Will there be any changes in regulations for foreign investors? Do you think there'll be any changes in the, let's say in the next 2 to 3 years?
It's very difficult to say, but right now I think it's, I mean, the regulations are rock solid. I mean, as a foreigner, anybody can buy as long as it's brand new. You got to get the approval. Foreign Investment Review Board process. There is an income stream for the government through that. So I don't think it's going to change because there's a lot of revenue coming in from foreign investors. Australia welcomes foreign investments. It's not only people buying houses, but there's a lot of institutional investors investing in millions and billions of dollars, even from the US. A lot of people think China is the main investor in Australia, but it's not true. US is the main investor. These are all institutionalized investors who are investing in millions of dollars. Now, these are large corporations, the investment companies. So it's not going to change. And in terms of banking policies, again, things have really tightened up now. And I think the lenders who are lending to foreigners are having a very stringent process where they check on everything, go to the details of things like credit reports. So they have a very, very streamlined process, which has to be the case. And I really don't think there will be a deviation at all.
Right. So that's good news. Something to hope for. Now, apartment sizes in Australia are smaller than those found in Sri Lanka. Right. I think this is something we all know. A lot of people who talk to us, when we tell them that the 2-bedroom apartment this is the size in Melbourne. for a 2-bedroom apartment in square meters, the response is, hey, that's a little bit smaller, isn't it? I mean, you're looking at properties in Colombo and 2-bedroom apartments slightly bigger. So apartment sizes in Australia are smaller than those found in Sri Lanka and other Asian countries, I would say. But the price is high in comparison. What are your thoughts on this now?
Yeah, that's correct. But it's still bigger than things that you can find in places like Hong Kong or China, for that matter. I mean, the reason is all these areas where the apartments are coming at, the land prices have really, really skyrocketed. So as a developer, when they purchase a piece of land, if they are to make money, they have to sell an apartment at a particular price. The land has really gone up. There's scarcity of lands. A development site is like gold right now because especially in Melbourne or Sydney, it's very, very rare that you can find a parcel of land to do a big skyscraper. At the same time, construction cost has gone through the roof all across Australia. And so as a developer, if you are to make a decent margin on a project, they have to lift the prices up. There's no way around it. And I mean, even if you leave aside, the labor cost in Australia is quite higher than places like Southeast Asia. So those are the reasons the prices are higher and it is smaller. But again, there's apartment projects all around Australia, and based on the requirement, we can find these projects to cater the requirements. I mean, if someone wants a boutique type of apartment, which is quite large in size, with a lot of balcony space, whatnot, we can find it. It's a matter of finding the right product to suit the requirement.
Excellent. What impact? This is a very common question now. When we were in India, most of the people we met, this was the first question they asked. What impact does buying a property have on permanent residency or PR for foreigners?
Yeah, so just by buying a property, it will not get you the PR. That's the short answer. But it will definitely add value to your application. I mean, if you're migrating to Australia, there's only two ways to do it. One is skill migration, and the other is business migration. The either path you take, having a property will definitely add value because it shows that you have an interest in the country. But it will not give you a ticket to get the PR straight away.
All right. Another question by Mrs. Senivaratna. Can we purchase property in Australia through cryptocurrency? Is that a possibility now?
Wow, that's a good one. Unfortunately not. Probably not until Elon Musk do something big in Australia. But no, right now. So I don't think it is geared to that as yet. But if that happens, that's going to be a major change, and it's going to be a game changer.
Right. Will you look after my property once it's purchased?
Of course we do. Yeah. So I mean, it's not about selling a product and walking away. We always take care of you in terms of rentals, managing it right throughout. You'll be getting statements every single month on what is going on with it. And then whenever you want to sell it, we can resell it for you as well. So we take care of the whole process. We'll be there for you until you want to keep investing.
Beautiful. How easy is it to find a tenant? I mean, to a house, an apartment, once I purchase a property through Grit?
I mean, typically we do, if it's for investment, we do not recommend anything which we cannot rent out. And just because if the price is low, if the rental demand is poor, we're not going to propose that to you. So the ones we propose, renting is very, very easy. Typically, within the first 4 weeks, there will be a tenant in your apartment or property. Yeah, we do not recommend, because we do go through a rigorous process in finding these locations for your investment, and rental yield, proportion of renters in the suburb. These are all criteria which we go through. So renting will be very easy on the places we propose.
Excellent. What is the payment plan when investing in a house and land? I mean, let's say now the foreigner is interested. and he wants to go ahead. He has picked out his house and land package. He likes the location. He likes the configuration. He likes everything. What now?
Yeah. So again, based on the development, $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 deposit. That's for the land to reserve it. 10% on the land when you sign the land contract. 5% on the building contract, and then you need to pay the Foreign Investment Review Board fees of $6,350, and then the remaining payments are upon completion of the land. So that's when, if you go for a loan, you put your remaining contribution in, and then the construction will go in progress payments in 5 stages. If you're going for a loan, the bank will be making these payments. If it's a cash purchase, you will be making the payments based on the completion of each and every stage. But we go through, we have a document where we iron out all these payment plans with all costs involved, so that you will have a clear picture on what is going on.
Right. Is the house construction cost negotiable, Naveen? So we know that a house and land package has a bill cost, and we have a cost for the land or land price. Now, how do you negotiate on these prices with the developers? How far can we do this?
It used to be, not anymore. I mean, the reason is construction cost is going up rapidly. It's insane. And all these builders are increasing their prices every month. I mean, we have never seen like this before, because they have no option but to do this, because the building materials and cost is increasing every single day. And with COVID and borders being shut down, I think Melbourne in the east coast of Australia is okay comparatively to the west coast, especially in Perth. I've been having a chat with a builder yesterday, and they were like, you're looking at 12 to 18-month time just for construction, simply because of these delays. Because Western Australia was shut down for the rest of the world and to all the states, and materials could come in. There's COVID in China, there's border shutdowns there. So there's so many issues going on. There's not so much in the East Coast, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, or Adelaide. But yeah, right now, yeah, they will ask us to shut our mouth and wait.
All right. Now, could you confirm who will be taking responsibility to check the construction and whether it has completed at each stage? As we know, any construction, there are stages.
Yeah.
So who will take the responsibility for each phase, so that it's in line with the satisfaction of the client as well as the contractual obligations, as what is mentioned in the contract? So who really looks into this?
Yeah. So what we do is we take progress pictures, updates on each and every stage, as well as on a weekly basis, and update the client. So we take that responsibility. At the same time, client has the option to use an independent building inspector to check on each stage or at the completion of the house. So that it's a totally independent inspector, qualified building inspector, who will do a check on the house, do a report, and submit to the client as well as the builder, and the builder has to go through it and fix up if there's any defects. On top of that, there's individual building inspectors engaged by the builder himself to through their quality control process. On top of that, there will also be the bank. If the bank is involved, they're not going to make payments without checking it. So there's multiple checks and balances. And normally, if it's a reputed builder, I mean, most 99% of the builders do not take shortcuts, because real estate is or construction is a very regulated process, and their license is on the line, and nobody would want to have that happen. So unlike in some other countries, taking shortcuts is not an option in Australia, and builders do a pretty good job. But client has the option of having extra checks through building inspectors, but we will oversee the entire process for them.
Excellent. I think we've had quite a few good questions, very enlightening questions for people like foreigners to understand how it works. We have more questions now, but we have run out of time. Maybe in the next segment, we'll be able to take on the same, those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm down with the questions now. That's it from me.
All right. Yeah. I think we spent about 25 minutes today. Typically, we wrap around 15-20 minute mark. But it was a very good bunch of questions. So thanks a lot for asking those questions. And if you have further questions, feel free to reach us out on social media channels, and we'll be doing this every single week, so we can cover all bases in one of the weeks.
Great stuff. All right, Navin, thank you for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll catch you on our next episode of Ask Grit.
All right. Thank you.